All right, it's halftime. 49ers trail the Texans 7-0, but who cares about the score, right? This is just a preseason. And boy, that was rough from the 49ers. Definitely looks like they have 16 players out of this game, which is the total amount either resting or currently hurt right now and needing some rest. But a lot of the big names, you got Trent Williams not playing. I think that's the most notable one based on how this team looked offensively. Trey Lance, he's out of the game now. He played, about a quarter and a half? 7 of 11, but in this game, the completion percentage tells only a little bit of the story. He had something like 48, 49 yards, either way, 4.5 yards per attempt, which is not efficient, is not very good. And if you're the 49ers, you have to have Trey Lance more accurate in the short game. There was that one on second down early, quick out to George Kittle that he just missed. Kittle had to go lunging for it, couldn't catch it. And then there was the third down and short. It wasn't that long of a third. No, maybe it was a 3rd and 7, but it was a convertible third down. And Trey Sermon ran that little choice route out of the backfield, and he was covered by the linebacker. But Sermon had a step. If that pass hits Sermon in stride, he catches it. He has a chance to get at least near the first down marker. Instead, the pass kind of hit Sermon in the back hip, so he had to turn around to catch it. Definitely couldn't catch it in stride, and he was tackled right away. And then Sermon got blown up on that next 4th down. Right after that, that was Kurt Hinish. And if you haven't heard of Kurt Hinish, I don't blame you. That's because he's never played an NFL regular season snap. He was there beating the 49ers' second-round left guard. It was Notre Dame on Notre Dame violence there. Hinish went to Notre Dame. So maybe, just maybe, Hinish had worked against Aaron Banks before, and he knew how to beat him. The 49ers better hope that that was the case, because Banks didn't look good on a do-or-die kind of block that happened there on 4th down. It didn't help Trey Sermon all that much, who ran decently well, but that little implosion by Aaron Banks on that 4th down set Trey Sermon back a few yards. I thought that there was a couple tough runs that he had where he bounced off a couple tacklers, and I thought that he hit the outside with a lot more vigor than he did that one run that we saw against Minnesota to the outside, which just made me think that he was a little tentative. Maybe made sense because he hurt his ankle during the final practice against the Vikings. But either way, I think 20 yards for Trey Sermon there in the first half. Nothing really to write home about. We only saw one carry so far for Jordan Mason for 8 yards, so expect that we'll see more of him in the second half. Good news for the 49ers, Malik Turner. I know that it probably should have been a helmet-to-helmet call. They didn't call it, though. But, either as a gunner or as an up man, we saw him create that strip as an up man in Minnesota last week. But today, as the gunner, he got downfield. And he's going to be part of this team one way or the other. They're going to try to keep Malik Turner in the building. The nice thing about Turner, a veteran, is that he wouldn't have to clear waivers to bring him back to the practice squad. But I think that with a guy like that, he might get some opportunities elsewhere just based on how good of a specialist he is if they cut him. So I tend to think they're going to have to keep Malik as the 6th receiver on the 53-man roster. Talking about the younger guys, rookie cornerback Tariq Castro-Fields out of Penn State. His stock is definitely rising. We didn't hear about him all too much early in training camp, but we've heard about him and we've seen him out on that practice field working with, the more elevated units a lot more lately. And today he started the game and he had that nice pass breakup. It was good physical coverage. Castro-Fields is somebody I project to the practice squad. He's a really coachable player. Has a lot of the physical tools that you look for at the cornerback position. It's going to be really crowded, though, for the 49ers in the 53-man roster, so I have trouble seeing him make that 53, but I think he's looking like an ideal ascending practice squad player for the 49ers right now after they picked him in the 6th round of the 2022 draft. Same thing for Marcelino McCrary-Ball, the speedy linebacker out of Indiana, who had the nice run stop there in the first half. Everybody probably remembers the interception and the return that showed off McCrary-Ball's 4.5 speed. That was against the Green Bay Packers about 13 days ago because the 49ers have played 3 games in 13 days. Well, they want speed at that linebacker position. McCrary-Ball's going to have more chances to impress here when the second half starts in a few minutes. And between him and Seguno Luby, the 49ers do have developmental speed at linebacker. And obviously they have very talented frontliners in Warner, Greenlaw, Alshire. It's these guys waiting in the wings in case the 49ers can't extend one or more of those players that are really, really interesting to track in the second halves of preseason games like this because they are the future. What else can we say about Samuel Womack? Is he impressive or what? I talk about the wingspan so often. He's only 5'9", got the 32-inch arms. Every single interception that he's helped generate this preseason, and I know that it wasn't an interception for Womack. I know he tipped it to Tarvarius Moore, but I mean, it was like Richard Sherman against Michael Crabtree, right? Tipping it to Malcolm Smith. Nobody remembers Malcolm Smith. Everybody remembers the play that Richard Sherman made. Well, Womack, again, those long arms involved in the play, feisty coverage, got his head turned around, actually had taken a flag a little bit earlier in the first half. That was, the first really negative play that we've seen from Samuel Womack this preseason, but he adapted to deliver acceptable physical coverage. You know what I mean? Acceptable based on penalties, with there not being a flag on that tip that turned into an interception. Womack, I mean, he looks like a guy that was second in the nation in pass breakups last year. That's what he was at Toledo, 17 PBUs. It's a lot for a college season. Those types of skills tend to translate to the pros, especially if you could run 4.4. You've got the agility of a 5'9" guy, and you have 32-inch arms, which are as long as Richard Sherman's, by the way. And Sherman is in the house today. So it was fitting that there was kind of a tip pick that, might have been a little bit reminiscent of Richard Sherman's most famous play. But you can't say enough about Samuel Womack. He is on the fast track to start for the 49ers at the nickelback spot. Moving into the second half, let's see some more Jordan Mason and Brock Purdy. I want to see Mason run, and I want to see Purdy throw. I thought Purdy got a little bit of a raw deal there at the end of the first half. I said, hey, it's time for some more clock management from Brock Purdy. He'd been so good at that at the end of the first half in each of the previous two preseason games. And it looked like he was off to another good start. Hit Juwan Jennings over the middle, but then Jalen Moore, left tackle, starting today for the 49ers, false started. And then they had a second false start penalty. I think it was Sutherland, right? I think it was the backup center who was in there. Either way, two consecutive procedure penalties from the 49ers just kind of scuttled any chance of a field goal drive from Brock Purdy. And it illustrated the main point is that, no Trent Williams means this line just looks rough. And even with Trent Williams, there are going to be question marks, and there are going to be growing pains between the offensive line and Trey Lance. I mean, let's go back to the top. I know everybody probably wants to talk about Trey Lance, so welcome those of you to the show. He wasn't good today. A lot of the issues that we had seen over training camp, namely in the short game, consistency in the short game that's going to be needed to set up yards after the catch, wasn't present. And it was a small sample size. I get it. But these are the issues that we highlighted going back to last year that we talked about during training camp. And these are the issues that are going to make or break the 49ers offensive efficiency this season, because like it or not, they have a lot of guys who are set up to succeed with yards after the catch. So the quarterback's job is to set them up for that, right? So the guys, you have Deebo Samuel, you have George Kittle, I could go on and on. You have the physical body types there that are ready to capitalize on downsizing defenses around the NFL, but you've got to hit guys in stride, and that short game has to set up and manageable down and distance situations. So when Trey Lance missed George Kittle on that out pattern early, that wasn't good. When Trey Lance threw it a little bit behind Trey Sermon, made him slow down, didn't put it out in front of him on that third down, that wasn't good. A little bit of a slow release from Trey Lance right after Jalen Moore got beat, but that illustrates how important it is to get Trent Williams back, because Jalen Moore didn't have a good half. He got beat clean by Jerry Hughes, the former Bill, longtime edge rusher on that one play. But Trey, I mean, it wasn't like he was blindsided there. He was moving to his left anyway. He knew that Jerry Hughes was going to be coming because he saw that Jalen Moore got beat and his release was still too slow. I think the time from snap to release in the first half for Trey Lance, according to the Amazon Advanced Stats, was something like 3.2 seconds, which is too high. It's got to be under 2. 3.2 would be the slowest in the league. I get it. They run slower developing plays with Trey. He buys a little bit more time with his legs. That time is going to be higher than it was with Jimmy Garoppolo, or higher than Davis Mills for the Texans, who was at like 2.49 seconds in the first half. But still, it's got to be quicker. And he's got to tighten up the release, especially when there is pressure coming. And he knew that Jerry Hughes was coming, and Jerry Hughes still almost created the strip sack. So that was the bad. I thought the good for Trey Lance, there was one throw that he was accurate with today, and he has been accurate with throughout this offseason, which is important. And that was the play fake, boot, toss over the defensive end, hit the tight end or the back or whoever is running out of the backfield. It depends on what exactly Shanahan has called. That's not an easy throw to make because you have to, execute the timing and the footwork of the play fake game. And then you have to make the throw over a hard charging defensive end when you can't quite clearly see your target and you got to hit him in stride. That throw Trey has down. And that's not insignificant. It's important that Trey Lance has that one throw down because Shanahan's going to call it a lot. That boot play action game is going to be a big part of this offense. But he has anything else that's an out pattern has been inconsistent at best from an accuracy standpoint. And he's gotten more accurate over the course of August, right? We tracked that 48% his first week, 58 to 60% after that. But we still see issues with some of these out patterns. And then also we saw that issue with the Sermon choice route today. He's got to hit those guys in stride because setting up yak should not be taken for granted. The 49ers, for what it's worth, when Garoppolo was healthy, so we're looking at 19 and 21, those 2 seasons, they led the league in yards after the catch per reception. And the reason was that he was accurate on those short passes. And everybody's like, oh, well, it's just the receivers. Well, it's the quarterback too. As you can see right now, the quarterback has to set up that yak. So Lance has to get better in the short game. 49ers offensive line, though, has to get better. Pass protection was concerning, to say the least, for them there in the first half. I'm going to have to watch the tape to let you know exactly how Burford did. I thought Jake Brendel to the naked eye looked good, so that was a positive sign for the 49ers. But Aaron Banks did get beat on that one critical 4th down run, which is not a promising sign for the 49ers, especially since he got beat by a guy who hasn't taken an NFL regular season snap yet in Kirk Hinish. But, that's the first half. 49ers down 7-0. Moving forward, I'll put this back up there. Let's see some more Jordan Mason. Let's see some Brock Purdy. Let's see some guys battle it out for the 53-man roster. The 49ers have to make the cut down on Tuesday, right? So this is the last chance to really make an in-game impression. They're probably going to practice again before Tuesday. But still, guys fighting for jobs, crowded roster, fun stuff to monitor. So kick back, enjoy the game. It's only preseason. As far as the 49ers defense goes, by the way, that opening drive, it's like, whatever, it's not really a dress rehearsal when you don't have Armstead, when you don't have Bosa, when you don't have Fred Warner. I could just go down the list. Kinlaw. Obviously, Jimmy Ward might be out for the start of the regular season now, since John Lynch said he might go on IR. So it's more about individual analysis than it is anything else on the defensive side of the ball. And we'll do more of that here in the second half. All right, everybody enjoy. It's getting going again. So I'll talk to you all soon.